how to be a better cook, a helping hand of easy tips and a few simple recipes and dishes anyone can cook to impress family and friends.
He tests the water. Just right. But afternoon baths are not going to get any of these tigers a meal.
Asia with David Attenborough continues tomorrow at 6:20 on BBC1 and iPlayer.
Oh, sorry.
Are you serious?
You got jokes, yeah?
Everybody happy?
Yes.
It's exactly the effect I wanted and more.
Comedy to lift your mood on BBC iPlayer.
Good Ronnie O'Sullivan defends his UK Snooker Championship crown. He plays in one of the first matches at York Barbican, here from 1:15 right now. Return of Premier League on BBC1. Ronnie O'Sullivan starts his bid for a record-extending 9th UK Championship title at York Barbican. Snooker, with action from the first of the season's Triple Crown events, live here in 15 minutes on BBC1.
Welcome to the rap game. Let's get this started.
This year's artists are bringing the fire.
Make some noise, people.
Give me the mic, I'll make it look easy.
Of course I got bars, you having a laugh. Liverpool in the building, you know.
This is not your arena.
That was cold.
Tension was crazy and steez. Just made Cam Keddy freeze.
I'm confident, Ed, mate.
There's always someone coming from the top spot.
That was fire.
Fire. That was a fire performance.
Let's get it.
The new series of the Rap Game UK. Press red to watch now on BBC iPlayer.
Now on BBC1, the lunchtime news with Martin Croxall.
Good afternoon. Storm Bert has begun sweeping across the UK with strong winds, heavy rain and snow causing disruption on the roads and on the railways. There are weather warnings covering much of the UK with different areas braced for more snow, ice, rain or high winds in some cases until tomorrow morning. Graham Satchell reports.
Storm Bert has been battering the country since first thing this morning. This is Lyme Regis in Dorset. The heavy winds gusting up to 70 miles an hour, with warnings that trees may come down in some parts of the country. It's the snow and ice that are causing most problems so far. This is Renfrewshire in the west of Scotland, with drivers struggling on the road. There's been an amber weather warning in place for much of Scotland and the northeast of England for heavy snow. It looks like a picture postcard in Selkirk in the Scottish borders, but authorities are saying some rural areas could be cut off. Gritters have been out since the early hours, with National Highways describing some routes as treacherous. Farmers have also been helping to clear the roads.
These extremes do seem to be coming more frequently, but one thing's for sure, right across the country today, farmers are going to be out tending their livestock.
Travel has been widely affected, with trains, ferries and some flights cancelled or diverted. The advice for those thinking of travelling in the worst affected areas is clear.
If you don't need to travel, don't travel at all. If you work this weekend, work from home, stay home. It's essential that you're not travelling this weather because it is causing disruptions.
There's already been flooding in Northern Ireland. This is Dundonald. More than 1,000 homes in Wales are without power. Storm Bert is likely to cause more disruption as the day goes on. Graham Satchell, BBC News.
In a moment, we'll speak to Katrina Renton, who's in Pitlochry in Perth and Kinross. But first, let's speak to Olivia Richwald, who's in Pateley Bridge in North Yorkshire, where conditions are particularly treacherous, Olivia.
Well, they are actually an improving picture. Heavy snow fell in the early hours of this morning. That was replaced with heavy rain around 9 o'clock this morning. This village is in a steep valley and some cars were finding it inaccessible, but the driving conditions are at least an improving picture, but the slush here is about ankle deep. Across the north there have been some disruption. The Newcastle airport was affected with at least one flight cancellation and some flights diverted or delayed. There are also around 1,500 homes in North and West Yorkshire which have been left without power, but we've spoken to Northern Power Grid, who say they are working to access those power lines that have been affected and restore power as soon as they can to those affected homes. Meanwhile, in the northwest, a football fixture between Blackburn Rovers and Portsmouth has been cancelled due to torrential rain, making the pitch unplayable. There is more rain forecast and there are some flood warnings already in place in the northwest.
Well, it was snowing here earlier, but you can see now that it's sleet here in Pitlochry now. The amber warning here in Perth and Kinross and in Angus, Aberdeenshire and in parts of the Highlands stays in place until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Now, there were more problems in the south of Scotland this morning. There was an amber warning there, which has now expired. The part of the main route south, the M74, was closed for a time, and there have been dangerous driving conditions in the borders. Now, the Central Belt, which was not covered by an amber warning but covered by a yellow one, has had considerable disruption with congestion on the M8, Scotland's busiest motorway between Glasgow and Edinburgh. And in Edinburgh, Lothian buses have cancelled all of their services because of safety concerns. And the advice, of course, is to be careful if you're going out and to not drive if you have to, unless you have to, sorry. And the other advice, of course, is that there's more of this coming with heavy rain and wind forecast into the morning.
Katrina, thank you very much. Katrina Renton in Perth and Kinross and Olivia Richwald in North Yorkshire. In Lebanon, the Health Ministry says an Israeli airstrike in central Beirut has killed at least 11 people and injured more than 60 others. The attack flattened an 8-storey building. Rescuers are using heavy machinery to search for survivors. The Israeli military said it had struck several sites linked to Hezbollah over the past 24 hours. Hugo Bachega reports from Beirut.
A crater in central Beirut after a massive Israeli airstrike. An attack that happened without warning at 4 o'clock in the morning when many here were sleeping. Hours later, a heavy smell of explosives was still in the air. Bunker-buster bombs were apparently used in the attack, and one 8-storey residential building collapsed.
This is the site that was hit, and there's still a massive operation happening here to remove the rubble. There's a heavy security presence as well. This attack was so powerful that was heard and felt across the city.
Israeli airstrikes have killed top Hezbollah leaders in Beirut. There hasn't been any reaction to today's attack from either the Israeli military or Hezbollah. But the suspicion is that this could have been another targeted assassination.
It's a very horrible explosion happened. All of the windows, the glasses are over me and my wife and my children. My home now is a battlefield, if you see it. Okay, one person is hide here. Should destroy 3 buildings where the people are sleeping inside.
Across Lebanon, Israeli airstrikes have intensified, despite new efforts for a ceasefire. Israel calls it a strategy of negotiations under fire and says the attacks will continue. Hugo Bachega, BBC News, Beirut.
Negotiations have run more than a day over schedule at the COP29 climate summit in Azerbaijan. Delegates from more than 200 countries are still debating how much money richer nations should provide to poorer ones to handle the impact of climate change. Our climate editor, Justin Rowlett, reports.
Delegates from developed countries head into a key meeting.
How are the negotiations going? We're not going to comment now.
That was the EU's climate minister. Here's UK Energy Secretary Ed Miliband.
Ed.
How are things going?
Ed, how are things going?
Well, we're working for the best deal we can.
Is there any progress at all?
Here's the problem. One clause in the current draft agreement estimates developing countries need $1.3 trillion of climate finance. The very next clause decides that countries led by richer nations will provide $250 billion a year of that. Now, we understand the offer has been raised to $300 billion a year, but developing countries say that is still not enough.
This is what they always do. They break us at the last minute, you know. They push it and push it and push it until our negotiators leave, until we're tired, until we're delusional from not eating, from not sleeping.
To make things even more complicated, a group of fossil fuel-rich countries led by Saudi Arabia is trying to roll back on the promise the world made last year in Dubai to transition away from fossil fuels. That is the knot they're trying to untangle in this room, and all the while, the clock is ticking. Justin Rolat, BBC News, Baku.
There are no red lines when it comes to support for Ukraine, the French Foreign Minister has told the BBC, and President Zelensky could fire French long-range missiles into Russia. Jean-Noël Barrot was giving an interview to Sunday with Laura Koonsberg, which we broadcast on BBC1 at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
We will support Ukraine as intensely and as long as necessary. Why? Because it is our security that is at stake. Each time the Russian army progresses by 1 square kilometer, the threat gets 1 square kilometer closer to Europe.
In the Philippines, security services are on alert after the vice president said she's made plans to have the president assassinated if she is killed. Sara Duterte said that she'd already contacted a hitman about killing President Ferdinand Marcos and his wife. It's the latest episode in a widening rift between the two most powerful political families in the Southeast Asian country. The government has launched an independent review of the role of physician associates in England because of increasing concerns about their use in the NHS. They're healthcare professionals who support doctors, but the Doctors' Union, the British Medical Association, says they're being asked to do tasks that are beyond their qualifications. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, said there were legitimate issues that needed looking at, but has also criticised the toxic nature of the debate. Here's our health editor, Hugh Pym.
Oh, morning. How are you today? Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you.
Starting the day with a cup of tea.
Busy for you? Always is, yeah.
But with patients waiting, Rosie gets on with her first case.
Lovely. Let me get the door for you. Oh, the door's open. My name's Rosie. I'm a physician associate.
I had a gallbladder removed and everything, and I still get cramps in stomach.
There's a private examination and the patient leaves reassured.
Take care. Bye-bye.
One of several appointments where patients get to see a PA quicker than a GP.
Yeah, I've seen that lady a few times before, so I built a bit of a rapport with her, and she actually requested to see me today, which was nice. Can you reach to get up on here, or do you need a little bit of help?
Like other PAs, Rosie did a relevant degree and a 2-year master's.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Examinations like this are part of the role.
Can you show me your tummy? Is that okay? Perfect. And now take some deep breaths in and out, like you're trying to blow out a candle. So you go.
It was supposed to be a blood test, but has been cancelled by one of
the practice GPs said they'd be lost without PAs and struggle to keep up with demand.
Can I take your date of birth first?
But elsewhere, a row's blown up with claims PAs may be acting above their qualifications and there may be patient safety concerns. The Doctors' Union, the BMA, has called for recruitment to be halted. The debate is so heated this practice didn't want to be named, and Rosie didn't want to give her full name.
I potentially felt a little bit vulnerable having my full name out there, and I didn't want to be subjected to any, say, abuse, maybe sounds harsh, but abuse online, which I think is really sad because you should be able to come on and say what you do as a job, and you know, I'm really proud of my job and working for the NHS.
Doctors want the review to clarify precisely what PAs can and can't do and how they're supervised. Rosie is happy with that, as long as it defuses the row. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
That's all from me, but there's plenty more on the BBC News website. The next news on BBC1 is at 5:15. Bye for now.
Good afternoon. Some of the worst impacts so far from Storm Bert have come as a result
of heavy snow in the northern half of the UK, causing significant transport disruption. But the focus is starting to shift. That snow easing, some of it turning back to rain, melting. Flooding rain and widespread gales perhaps of most concern through the rest of the weekend. That said, we still have this amber warning from the Met Office for snow and ice across some central parts of Scotland, but that will gradually turn back to rain. That process already taking place across northern England. You can see on the radar picture the snow turning back to rain. Milder air working its way in from the south, significantly milder actually. A lot of rain in the forecast for the rest of today, particularly heavy rain across Wales and southwest England with the risk of flooding. Slightly better conditions for a time this afternoon across Northern Ireland, but generally speaking it stays very windy. Those winds strong enough to cause some disruption, gusts of 60, 70 miles per hour, but turning much, much milder, particularly down towards the south. And that mild air continues to race its way northwards overnight with further outbreaks of heavy rain, just increasing that flooding risk. Very windy just about everywhere, but particularly so in the north of Scotland through Irish Sea coast and southern coast as well. But these are the temperatures we're expecting by the end of the night. Markedly different in terms of the feel of the weather compared with what we've had over recent days. So Storm Bert tomorrow passing to the northwest of the UK. A deep low with some very strong winds, still seeing gales in quite a few locations. This slow-moving frontal zone still bringing some heavy rain into the southwest of England, into the Midlands. Sunny spells and blustery showers further north and west. But if it stays dry and bright into this southeast corner, it could actually feel really quite warm with highs of 17 or 18 degrees. Does turn a little bit colder again through the coming week, but hopefully not as stormy as it is right now. That's all from me. Bye-bye.
I looked death in the face and survived. I had not only surpassed every man of my time, I had even rivaled the ancients. I am Michelangelo Buonarroti.
A powerful new drama documentary series, Renaissance, The Blood and the Beauty. Starts Monday the 2nd of December on BBC2 and iPlayer.
Oh, sorry.
Are you serious?
You got jokes, yeah?
Everybody happy?
Yes.
It's exactly the effect I wanted and more.
Comedy to lift your mood on BBC iPlayer.
Hello, good to have you with us. If you're just joining me here with you live on BBC1. Now, given the weather, Saturday afternoon snooker to stay in for live coverage of the UK Championship.
This is what you fell in love with. This is free for all. Winner takes all. Cup for all.
The FA Cup is at it again.
This is original football.
The FA Cup second round kicks off with Harrogate Town v Gainsborough Trinity. Live, Friday 7:30 on BBC2 and iPlayer.
He tests the water. Just right. But afternoon baths are not going to get any of these tigers a meal.
Asia with David Attenborough continues tomorrow at 6:20 on BBC1 and iPlayer.
Man City and Tottenham face off this evening. Highlights on Match of the Day tonight at 10:30. Premier League games now on BBC1 and continuing on the red button to the final score.
Welcome to the rap game. Let's get this started.
This year's artists are bringing the fire.
Make some noise, people.
Give
Give me the mic, I'll make it look easy. Of course I got bars, you having a laugh.
Liverpool in the building, you know. This is not your arena.
That was cold. Tension was crazy. And Steez just made Cam Kelly freeze.
I'm confident. Ed, mate.
There's always someone coming from the top spot.
That was fire.
Fire.
That was a fire performance. Let's get it.
The new series of the Rap Game UK. Press red to watch now on BBC iPlayer.
You're about to get lucky because we don't stop the music. Radio 1 Anthems is now streaming all day long. So you can drop it like it's hot and dance the night or day away with back-to-back tunes from the noughties to now. And you don't even need to push the button. Just say, smart speaker, play Radio 1 Anthems.
Now on BBC One, the Tea Time News with Rita Chakrabarti.
Good afternoon. A man has died in Hampshire after a tree fell on his car as Storm Bert swept across much of the UK. Yellow weather warnings for wind, rain or snow, as well as dozens of flood warnings are in place across much of the country until tomorrow. And there's been disruption on the roads and the railways. Olivia Richwald reports.
Storm Bert announced its arrival with winds that battered Lyme Regis. A man in his 60s died after a tree fell on a car near Winchester in Hampshire. Heavy snow made roads treacherous for drivers. This was Renfrewshire in Scotland and saw bus services disrupted across the Central Belt. Heavy rain caused flooding in parts of Northern Ireland, including this railway line. 5 adults and 5 children had to be rescued from a property after a landslide in North Wales, where heavy rain and flooding also led this river to burst its banks. Newcastle Airport was badly affected, with some flights cancelled, diverted and delayed. These pictures were taken from inside the airport, and it has been a day to stay in if you could.
These extremes do seem to be coming more frequently, but one thing's for sure, right across the country today, farmers are going to be out tending their livestock.
Power outages affected tens of thousands of homes in Northern Ireland, Wales, England and Scotland.
It's been pretty tough out there. The weather conditions this morning were probably the most challenging with the snow. It was quite heavy in areas, difficulty getting access to some of the locations where we needed to carry out repairs. That's kind of improved through the day as the rains come and melted quite a lot of the snow. So that's improved.
The snow which fell across the north of England this morning was inches deep and is now rapidly melting. So the concern now turns to flooding, with several Environment Agency flood warnings already in place. In addition, there are yellow warnings from the Met Office for snow, rain and wind affecting large swathes of the country. Disruption is likely to continue overnight and tomorrow, with some weather warnings in place until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Storm Bert has been described as a multi-hazard event, and the advice in the worst affected areas is to check before travelling. But if you're heading out, make sure you're at least dressed for it. Olivia Richwald, BBC News.
And Katrina Renton is in Pitlochry in Perth and Kinross for us now. And Katrina, Scotland's had some of the strongest warnings, but has the situation improved?
Well, Rita, the worst of Storm Bert has passed now here in Scotland. There was snow here in Pitlochry earlier today, but most of it has now melted away. The amber warning for snow and ice that was in place here and in parts of northern Scotland was actually downgraded earlier than anticipated. There was also an amber warning in southern Scotland, and that made driving conditions there difficult. The Central Belt was not covered by an amber warning. It had a yellow warning, but there was considerable disruption with congestion on the motorway between Glasgow and Edinburgh. The Queensferry crossing closed, and it is still closed just now. And the main local bus service in Edinburgh was suspended, but it's getting back to normal now. And the kick-off time was delayed in 4 Scottish Premiership matches. Amber warnings into tomorrow, though, with the rapid thaw, wind and rain. Could there be more problems? Let's hope not. Rita.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Katrina Renton.
Online. It's designed to spotlight what viewers and listeners can do to protect themselves from being scammed. That's all from us. Bye-bye.
Hello there, good evening. Well, it's been quite the day of weather. Storm Bert brought strong gusty winds, heavy rain and even some snow for some of us. And if we just take a look at the radar picture, you can see how that snow turned quickly back to rain with the milder air feeding in from the southwest from the storm. Now, there has been some flooding and there are a number of flood warnings in place, and that number could continue to rise through tonight and into tomorrow, because the emphasis now has to be on still the widespread gales, severe gales for some, and of course the rain. It's not over yet, and there'll be more rain piling in from the southwest overnight tonight across much of England and Wales. Line of rain just tracking eastwards across to eastern Scotland too. Still gales blowing, but just look at how mild it is to start the day tomorrow and compare that to how cold it was earlier on through the week. It's quite the change. Into tomorrow then, more rain falling across many parts of England, clearing away from Wales, just stretching up to parts of Yorkshire, Humberside and then sinking southwards and eastwards. But for the central swathe of the UK, I think there will be some sunshine around. It does stay very windy, of course, and there'll be more showers just packing into Western Scotland and Northern Ireland as we head through the afternoon. Very windy for these Irish sea coasts, and windier still, windier than it was today across some Channel coast, with gusts of wind here of 65 miles an hour potentially, but very mild, 17 degrees Celsius possible in the far south of east of England given any brightness. It turns a bit cooler and less windy for the start of next week. Take care.
Disinformation.
There is no climate change.
You think you're winning.
The pandemic wasn't real.
Fooling people in the most sophisticated ways.
The Met Police. Social media posts.
You fueled hate and confusion. And you make our job seem almost impossible.
Fake news.
Almost. You see, it's because of you we get up in the morning and work through the night, all over the world. The more you try to drown out reality, the harder we'll work to verify the facts. We will find your sleights of hand and expose them. So no matter how hard it gets, we'll never give up. We'll be watching. We'll be ready. It's the pursuit of truth that gives us our calling.
The fight for truth is on.
He tests the water. Just right. But afternoon baths are not going to get any of these tigers a meal.
Asia with David Attenborough continues tomorrow at 6:20 on BBC1 and iPlayer.
We're back, and you're in Michelle's house now.
Come on, we think Michelle's doing a great job.
I don't see any competition.
Start your engines, and may the best drag queen win.
Morning, Mother.
You're an easy crowd. I love this.
Hearing that from you is just very validating. This is why I love this show so much.
Done it!
Could have been an email, guys. Come on, let's sort it out.
Drag Race Down Under. Watch now on BBC iPlayer.
Alan Carr's Picture Slam is coming up in 45 minutes here on BBC One. First, play along with the celebs on the hit list. Will any of the Rap Game UK wordsmiths buckle under pressure? Press red to see the battles in Liverpool so far on iPlayer. And facing off over mixtape mastery, Clara Amthor and Jordan Stevens. Listen to what they came up with for Jade, now on Sounds. Here on BBC One, more shouting at the telly, with new Picture Slam next.
Being in a band was an unrealistic dream.
It was just a wall of screams and hormones. It went off.
It's the most amazing highs, amazing lows.
You were 100% the product.
You don't want that. Be an accountant. You can't have it both ways.
Boy bands forever. Press red for all episodes on BBC iPlayer.
Welcome to the rap game. Let's get this started.
This year's artists are bringing the fire.
Make some noise, people.
Give me the mic, I'll make it look easy. Of course I got bars, you having a laugh.
Liverpool in the building, you know. This is not your arena.
That was cold. Tension was crazy and steez. Just made Cam Keddy freeze.
I'm confident. Ed, mate. There's always someone coming from the top spot.
That was fire.
Fire.
That was a fire performance. Let's get it.
The new series of the Rap Game UK. Press red to watch now on BBC iPlayer.
I know it's blowy outdoors tonight, but I tell you what won't be a breeze. The first ever Strictly Sambathon. That's here after a new slam. If Laugh Out Loud heartwarming telly's your cup of tea, just press red for the brilliant new Scottish comedy, Only Child. And you can listen to award-winning comedy and cracking impressions on sounds with a new series of Dead Ringers. Here next, after Blackpool, a new challenge in Strictly.
Oh, sorry.
Are you serious?
You got jokes, yeah? Everybody happy?
Yes.
It's exactly the effect I wanted and more.
Comedy to lift your mood on BBC iPlayer.
I'm gonna get HQ to send down a detective.
We don't need another detective. Sorry, who are you? Because...
Mackenzie Clark, Metropolitan Police. Mackenzie used to have your job.
Why'd you leave? You walked in on me, Mac. Remember?
It's like this whole time we've been missing something that is right in front of us.
So I guess it means I should take the lead in investigations.
Does it?
So we don't step on each other's toes.
Keep your toes out of the way. I won't step on them.
Brand new Return to Paradise. Press red to watch now on BBC iPlayer.
Nice to see you. To see you.
You're simply the best. Here we go. You ready?
And we're not done yet.
Check it out.
You like it, huh?
Simply the best gigs, live in your living room.
You could not be more perfect.
Thank you.
Friday nights this autumn on BBC4 and iPlayer.
Hiya, Kate here live. Glad to have you with us out to Storm Bert. Now, time for our Saturday serving of glitz and glamour, sprinkled tonight with repetitive flashing images. With dance routines and pop-tastic music, it's Boy Bands Night over on BBC2. Kicking off with the Kings of Boy Bandery, Take That at the BBC. And in an hour, Boy Bands Forever goes behind the scenes to show the tough reality beneath the glitz.
You're about to get lucky because we don't stop the music. Radio 1 Anthems is now streaming all day long, so you can drop it like it's hot and dance the night or day away with back-to-back tunes from the noughties to now. And you don't even need to push the button. Just say, smart speaker, play Radio 1 Anthems.
We're back, and you're in Michelle's house now.
Come on, we think Michelle's doing a great job.
I don't see any competition.
Start your engines and may the best drag queen win.
Morning, Mother.
You're an easy crowd. I love this.
Hearing that from you is just very validating. This is why I love this show so much.
Done it.
Could have been an email, guys. Come on, let's sort it out.
Drag Race Down Under. Watch now on BBC iPlayer.
We're exclusive, right?
Exclusive. All right, gossip girl.
I am freaking out.
Tara and Zach aren't even divorced yet, right?
I never told you this, but I broke up with someone before I went travelling. He still lives in the flat and I haven't spoken to him since I left. Hello, mate.
I have to go. It's Fowler.
Who's Fuller?
My wife.
Your wife? This is meant to be the fun bit. I'm having fun, aren't you?
This is more than just fun, isn't it?
The new series of Cheaters. Press red for all episodes on BBC iPlayer.
Oh, yes, yeah, I see you walking towards me. Hi, Dad.
For Richard, visiting his dad was never easy.
We're going to the hospital, not the seaside. Yeah, but you don't know how long we're going to be waiting around for.
The last thing he expected was to stick around.
My generation didn't pay any attention to sell-by dates. We turned it just fine.
Brand new comedy, Only Child. Press red for all episodes on BBC iPlayer.
Our new winter mystery, Moonflower Murders, continues with Atticus and Susan uncovering new twists here on BBC1 in an hour. First, time for some new spins.
The Strictly Come Dancing vote is now closed. Please do not call because your vote won't count. Who'll be the next celebrity to leave the competition? Find out tomorrow night at 7:20 on BBC1.
The European campaign is going to make Africa look like a tea party.
My unit is currently spearheading the invasion.
They're sending us to get chewed up by a great big Italian pig.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Bill Sterling.
I like your boots, Bill.
We'll be fighting beside some of the best and most courageous soldiers on Earth.
The famous SAS.
Every single one of these men smells of alcohol.
My brother was the midwife of this regiment. I refuse to be its coroner. Now, do you want to save the SAS or not? Every man for himself!
They're wild men.
This is just the start. It is our job to take the whole hog right the way up to the tail.
We do not care about the insubordinations so long as you keep winning.
The new series of SAS Rogue Heroes, coming soon to BBC One and iPlayer.
Two-for-one mystery time now on BBC1. Let's see if your chief Moonflower suspects will change after tonight's revelations.
Well, Mr. James had no enemy.